Hello, and welcome everyone to a new Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era video. In this one, I'm going to be going over all of the skills and tiering them from F to S. There's going to be many skills, and I'm going to be going over my rationale for every single one of them, and I think it should be a good one. Let's get straight into it. So first up is we have Abyssal Comedian. So what the Abyssal Comedian does is that whenever you take fights, you get Comedian points. And then for every single point, you're going to be getting 3% extra Schism units at the beginning of the fight. It halves rounded up at the beginning of each turn. So as long as you keep taking fights, you're going to be getting more and more units joining you at the beginning of battle that you can then bleed without actually losing any army. Comedian is an amazing skill and makes Schism pretty broken, however, only on formats where you rely on the Biome army. So for example in Vendetta and Juba's Outcast, where you actually do not, play your Biome army, instead you want to go middle and actually just farm middle boxes, is actually not good. But for every single other format, it is amazing. Like Exodus, Harmony, Comedian does a lot and makes the faction pretty broken. They can farm big objectives earlier than other factions, and you're actually not going to be bleeding for it either, making them a very oppressive force. The reason why they're A tier, not S tier, is because it is situational and format dependent. So yeah. Next up is Arcane Magic. So Arcane Magic, I think, is a pretty useless skill. You don't usually care about interfering arcane levels, you don't usually care for getting that many arcane levels because the spells are actually not really that good. And the sub-skills for this School of Magic are also not really that great. They are situationally good. Basically, they have really good, they have really good synergy with unit summoning abilities. But honestly, it's too niche and not really good enough. So it is going to be C tier. They have a little bit of viability in summoning, sort of setups. Next up is Battle Magic. So Battle Magic, I think, is one of the most overrated skills in the game. Some people swear this is one of the best skills for you to have. However, in my opinion, that's not the case. It is, one, exclusively a late game skill. It's only good when you have a bunch of caster stats. Two, there's usually even better ways to scale your damage and defenses. So Battle Magic doesn't usually feel very oppressive, not really something that's super good. So I would put it actually B tier. Overrated. However, still good in some late game scenarios. Next up is gonna be probably the most controversial one, Battlecraft. So Battlecraft gives you attack skill when you wait and defense skill when you defend. And a lot of it too. I can see sometimes I'm kind of crushed by it and it feels pretty bad. But it's hard for me to actually use it to crush anyone. It's a very weird skill, in my opinion. I don't like it too much. I believe that many people will be putting it high A tier, maybe even low S tier. However, for me, I hate Battlecraft. I really dislike this skill. The only good thing about this is the first sub-skill, either the Range Mastery or the Lee Mastery. Those sub-skills are good, but I don't think they save the entire skill, so I don't like it. And now, Combat. So Combat is one of the two ways to have a good early game, okay? If you really want a good easy early game, you can, one, go Avatar, get a little bit of power, and the Avatar will carry you throughout the game. The other option is to go Combat. Being able to have that consistent damage turn by turn is excellent, okay? It lets you do so many things. The main problem is that it doesn't really scale as well into the late game as some of the other skills. However, if you really need the help and if you're playing around it, it does a lot of work. It belongs in very, very many games. However, in all of those games that it belongs to, it is not super exceptional. I would say it is low A tier. Next up is Daylight. So Daylight has been the most surprising School of Magic for me. Whenever I look at these spells on Daylight, I'm that is ridiculous. Level 4 Radiant Armor, you gain 40% damage reduction from all sources, that is insane! However, it ends up being not really that good. I mean, not as exceptional as you would think. The reason why, I think, is going to be... it's too slow. There are like some just straight up game winning spells in the late game, and there's like a lot that you need to like address and deal with and be prepared for. And Daylight is, yeah, not really like that great. And also the sub skills are also not really that great for Daylight. They get like Luminous Charge, which is like one focus charge at the beginning of combat, which could be like pretty useful, but still. It doesn't really do that much. In my opinion, it is low A tier, despite having some ridiculous spells. Next up is defense. I'm gonna be actually putting defense and armor like pretty close together because they basically do the same thing. They're like super similar skills in general. So offense is more damage with basic attacks, and then you can also have like some really exceptionally good sub skills as well. These skills are currently completely busted, okay? Playing with one of these skills and playing without one of these skills is like night and day difference. Your army is going to be dealing so much more damage. Your army is going to be like not taking any damage whenever you pick up offense or defense. It feels ridiculous. It does like a lot for you immediately in the game. It's like one of the best scaling things in the game. There's really like no replacing these skills when it comes to becoming, you know, like fighting God. And yeah, these skills always feel amazing. It's almost like an insta-pick on any hero. Whenever you like see these skills, you kind of have to pick it up. They're just that good. They are exceptional. They are amazing. Next up is Diplomacy. So Diplomacy can be like a decent skill, okay? However, one, you need to be having timer. So you have to be like pretty fast in the game. Most people actually don't really have timers so far. They're going into overtime almost every single turn. Number two, you have to have the legendary item set for this skill to function in the first place. Buying units is generally like way too expensive with Diplomacy. It just is. And then, yeah, so if you have like a bunch of timer to be looking around to things, if you have like the legendary item, then it's actually like kind of like a C or B tier skill. However, you have to like meet so many conditions, then you have to pick up the skill, and then you have to use it. It's not good enough. It's so bad. I would say that it is F tier. Next up is Economy. So Economy, in my opinion, is also garbage. It just doesn't really like do enough for you. There is a strategy. So there's an economy sub-skill called Antiquarian. And Antiquarian is going to be allowing you to purchase and buy items a little bit easier, cheaper, in the artifact merchants. And there's one player in the ladder, the only one that I've seen, Ordelops, who's definitely at the very least like tied for being the best player right now, tried to like play some antiquarian things, because the item sets in this game are really broken, and every single artifact merchant is actually an individual merchant that resets every week. So if you buy artifact merchants early, you're going to be able to actually like accumulate some item sets like pretty consistently, and some of them can be very broken. Like for example right now, if you get the duration item set and cast Luminous Touch, you're literally immortal for the rest of the game. It's probably something that's getting patched out soon, very soon. But, you know, there's other, like, good item sets that you can roll for. However, this, like, niche little strategy I thought was worth it being mentioned, but does not pull the skill out of F tier. So here we go. Next up is Insight. Insight is good for one reason and one reason only, and that is Civic Innovation, okay? So Insight as a general skill, it only gives you, like, some XP growth. That alone is not good enough. It doesn't do enough. However, the first sub-skill, so Civic Innovation, gives you 100% increased law generation from your hero. So if you don't know, whenever you like get a dwelling or do like a big objective, like Utopia of War Ruins, even smaller ones give like some law points too, and you can double all of that with a Civic Innovation. So that is a ridiculously powerful skill, sub-skill, probably one of the best sub-skills in the entire game. It can basically like make you go to like 50 plus laws on week 1 if you're doing like mini objectives. A really insane skill, just for that reason. However, because it's only like that one reason, if you don't really need laws, if you already have like many skills, later you're not really going to be going for it. So yeah, you have to hit it early, and you have to have like a purpose for the law points. However, usually those two things happen, and Insight becomes a good skill. I would say it is high A tier. Next up is Leadership. So Leadership has very many synergies. It always feels like pretty good to have, okay? So one is Leadership is going to be doubling your civic innovation, which I said is going to be like very important in many of your games. So that alone is like pretty good. Then it also has Inspiring Strike, which is the main combination with combat in order to get more heroic strikes off in battle. Also like a key part of like the combat strategy. And just in general, moraling feels pretty good in Olden Era, because most units can actually go up to 5 morale instead of the usual 3%, 3 morale, and then you can also like scale the percentage of value that the morale point is going to give you as well. So there's like a lot of morale scaling in Olden Era, and that's why Leadership becomes pretty good. I would say it is high A tier. Next up is Logistics. This is a weird one for me, and was probably like the biggest adaptation going from Heroes of Might and Magic 3 into Olden Era. Logistics is not a god skill. That's hard for me to like say, you know? I've been playing Heroes 3 with like, first of all, the unnerved logistics from Heroes 3. That was amazing and necessary in every game. You feel like you're playing without hands over there if you don't have it. But the Olden Era it's not really quite the same. You don't really need logistics, it's only good in many scenarios. Yeah, because you have like Second Wind to print out movement points, you have like control spells that actually don't use movement points, that's a very big deal. Logistics becomes not really as powerful as like some of these other skills that do like really a lot for you. So yeah, it is still going to be like a very good skill that you want in very many scenarios, but it's not the insipid that, you know, that it is in pretty much every single other Heroes of Might and Magic game. Next up is Luck. So Luck is basically Leadership, but of course you're going to be just like doing more damage with Luck. And you can also get Spell Crit as well. However, all of this is like really inconsistent and feels quite a bit worse than Leadership. One is you don't really have like the synergies that Leadership does. It doesn't like double up any like very important sub-skill. It doesn't really like fit into like many strategies. So yeah, I would say that Luck is just like a step below Leadership. In my opinion, it is either low B tier or high C tier. I would say low B tier. It does actually feel like not the worst skill to have whenever you do have it. And now we have Murmuring. So Murmuring is the Grove special skill. Every single hero in the faction starts with it, and it does so much for you. So first of all, the first sub-skill has Child of the Woods, which gives you 30 mana flat. You know, like max mana. And that is amazing for templates like Vendetta, wherever you like need to be using mana. Just having like that flat increase at the basically beginning of the game every single time is massively powerful, really good. And then you have like the second sub skill where you choose either to get basically like no cooldowns whenever you spend focus. You can also choose to have the infinitely scaling heroic strike or the strong connections where you're gonna be like scaling your stats throughout the fight permanently until the end of the fight. All three options are good, strong connections being the standout in my opinion. It is actually like a super excellent skill that does like so much for you. Very big surprise. I thought that this focus charge focus skill would not be like really that good, but it really is like everything in the faction. It is amazing. Now we have Necromancy. So Necromancy is very different from Heroes of Might and Magic 3 as well, where now it can actually raise units of any tier, and it can raise a lot of them too. It is capped by Necropower, which you can like somewhat, which resets every week, which you can like somewhat farm throughout the week. It is an exceptional skill that gives you so much army throughout the game. In pretty much every single scenario, it is going to be not only good, but really great. One of the best skills, most consistent skills in the game. Let's go. Necro is eating well in Olden Era. Now we have Nightshade Magic. Nightshade Magic, I think it's gonna be like the best school of magic here. So one is that their sub-skills are actually really good. Hour of the Wolf on Expert is insane. It is better than the Expert Offense or the Expert Defense sub-skills, the best ones. You know, like defense will make it so the opponent has like 15% less attack. Offense will make it so your opponent has 15 less defense skill. Nightshade magic is going to be making it so the opponents have 10% less attack and 10% less defense, making it 20% value instead of the usual 15% from already a god tier skill. And also is buffing probably the best spells in the game, you know, like Twilight, The Natural Calm, Star Children, Nyriskis, Shadow Army. These are the best spells in the game, and Nightshade is like supporting them. So yeah, best spells, best sub skills. Nightshade is S tier. It is amazing. Now we have Primal. Primal feels not so great in my opinion. These sub skills, I mean, some people like them, but I really dislike them. And the spells that you're scaling is usually just like damage, which is not really good enough in my opinion. Primal only has like spots in some specific games. It has like pretty good synergy with luck, but like luck is already like not really preferred. I'm gonna be putting it in... Yeah, honestly, well no, putting in Next Arcane feels bad. It's low B tier, it is alongside his partner in crime, Luck. And now we have Recruitment. So, Recruitment is a pretty toxic skill. You know, like sometimes you run into like a player playing with like 1000 tier 1 units, like 500 tier 2 units, and it's insane looking. And they also somehow have like more stats than your tier 7 units. It's quite something. At first I thought the skill was garbage, but then I quickly learned that it has like some really good use cases. However, its only like use cases are in very slow formats where you build out armies, so that's gonna be like Exodus and Harmony. Fortunately for Recruitment, Exodus is like the most popular format on the lobby, and so it is getting pretty mid A tier. It is situationally really good. So there we go. And now we have Resistance. So Resistance is probably like the... Well, yeah, one of the best late game skills in the game. It will make it take way less magic damage, and it will also be interfering and resisting quite a bit more. You're usually going to be taking Draining, which is the expert sub-skill for -1 levels to spells. That is amazing. It's really good. You know, like decreasing the... You know... The spell levels in Olden Era are ridiculously strong. You know, like a level 1 spell and a level 4 spell, it doesn't even like feel like they belong in the same realm of things in general. And yeah, so reducing those is very important. Resistance does some of that for you. It also can like reduce the charges, focus charges that the opponent gets and so on. However, it is like pretty much exclusively a PvP skill. And much of Heroes of Might and Magic always is going to be a lot of PvE. So because of that, they cannot go into S tier despite what they're doing. What the skill does is amazing. Because it does not help you outside of those PvP scenarios, it is going into A tier. And now we have Righteousness. So Righteousness is kind of like a weird one. I mean, I will tell you all the things that it can do. One, it can cheese out like a super big avatar, or if you're going to be like losing 1 stacks, you're going to be getting stats, okay? Temporary stats that you will then like later on lose, but you can actually snapshot those really big stats onto the avatar, and then, you know, like have like a really big beefy boy that will be able to carry and do a lot for you. You can also have like some really good abilities to click on your hero. The Purging Touch, being able to like remove all debuffs despite the duration, is amazing actually. And then you also have Chosen One, which doubles the stats of like a chosen creature, and there's no cap on how much damage you can do in Olden Era. In Heroes of Might and Magic 3, we used to be able to do like triple damage based on an attack skill difference. There's no such cap in Olden Era. However, it's not like really as easy to get there because the calculation is a little bit different. We'll probably get into that at some point. So yeah, also I will zoom out a little bit so we can see all the skills. So yeah. Righteousness is the most amazing skill that feels like the worst to use, because like, I don't know, it just never feels good to click on Purging Touch whenever you level it up. It doesn't even feel good to click on the expert subskills either. It's a really good feels bad skill. I think that it is high B tier. Yeah. Now we have scouting. In Heroes of Might and Magic 3, I mean, I sound like a broken record by this point, but, the closest affiliation for Olden Era as a game, I mean, it was made with Heroes 3 as a base, so of course I'm gonna be, like, making these comparisons, especially because, I'm a very long-time Heroes 3 veteran, and I'm in love with the game. So that is my go-to thing to compare it with. So yeah, scouting used to be essential and pretty much necessary in every single game. When you were playing without it, you were playing without ties. However, in Olden Era, you get like more base vision, and the maps are actually like quite a bit smaller too, on average, making it so you don't actually need scouting to be able to navigate. With the addition of scouting having like sucky sub-skills, the skill has become pretty niche and pretty bad. I would say that the best use cases for it are going to be playing Vendetta and playing Jibusatkas, the ones with the desert where you have to like farm the best things from middle as soon as you possibly can. Scouting is going to be able to let you find those best things easier, faster, and better. And for that reason, it does see play, it does see use. However, it's probably like still high C tier. Like, it's niche, and even when the nicheness is usable, I still think it doesn't really like do that much. I don't like scouting in Olden Era. Next up is Siegecraft, like blatant F. I've never been in a siege battle in PvP almost my entire life. There like only like 1 or 2 times, and it felt like the towers and everything were like inconsequential anyway. Trash. And now Sorcery. Sorcery is going to be letting you deal 30% more damage, 50% with like some sub-skills, also like Penetrate with the resistances too. It's a pretty good magic damage dealing thing. However, usually, even if you're like playing for like a mage, there's gonna be like better use cases for your magic than just dealing damage in Olden Era. And because of that, it's, yeah, it becomes too niche, and it's not really good. I think that it does very similar things to Primal Magic or Luck, so it's going alongside its partners here. Sorcery is B tier. And now we have probably the most problematic skill in the game, the Avatar! So, the Avatar is a skill that lets you have a new spell in your spellbook that costs 0 mana called Summon Avatar. It will summon the Avatar based on the strength of your spell power. So, more spell power, bigger Avatar. However, it does not really fluctuate in the HP and damage that it does. You know, so if you like temporarily get like up to like let's say 25 power and you summon the Avatar and then you know like you lose that power, the Avatar is still gonna be like giga strong. So then strategies arise where you can use Righteousness, you can use Murmuring, you know, Dust Hoplets, many ways to cheat out like temporary power and then slam down the big god Avatar. Honestly, even without these cheat strategies, the skill is really great. Giving you that strong 0 mana companion for every single fight is going to be making you be so much more consistent, able to do way bigger fights, and yeah, it's really good. Don't be baited though. If you're already past the early game, there's going to be like usually better things to pick up. However, it is still like a god skill that carries so many games back to back. I mean, yeah, it is an amazing skill. It is going into the S tier, of course. And now we have the Summon Swarm, the best skill that sees no use, because it is Hive, hey! So, what Summon Swarm does is it gives you like a few buttons. It lets you summon larvae that at the beginning of the next turn will be hatching into army. The amount of army larvae that spawns is going to be based on the HP pool of all of your highborn creatures. So you need to have like a lot of HP worth of these, you know, like of hive spawn in order for this to be good. However, you can scale them infinitely, almost. Okay, so you can make them deal double damage, you can make them taunt, you can actually give them ravage in the end laws as well for like more base damage. So you could be like just summoning straight up like 500 units that are dealing like 10 damage each and also attacking twice. And also you can spawn them literally every single turn, a stack per turn. It is the most oppressive late game skill in the entire game, and in my opinion, probably like just like the most toxic skill in the game to play against, whenever you like get there. Now, fortunately for all of us, like Hive doesn't usually get there because they just like bleed along the way and it's like not really like that significant. You just kind of like deal with it by dealing with the units before it's a problem. However, I feel like when Hive actually becomes a good faction, they only need like a little bit of help. And, you know, like when Hive gets there, the Swarm feels unbeatable. And so, it is, I would say, I mean, I would actually put it this tier if Hive was not in the, you know, very bad state that it actually is in right now. So there we go. Now, next up is Tactics. Tactics will let you reposition your units way closer to the battlefield. It also has like some pretty good sub-skills, okay? So one of them is going to be Easy Prey, that you're going to be getting like a lot of initiative on all of your units whenever the enemy waits at all. And, you know, the enemy usually waits quite a bit. So, yeah, so some easy initiative there. And the most important thing is going to be Riposte Mastery. So, in this game, there are abilities that let you counter-strike before you get hit. And Riposte Mastery resets your counterattack whenever you kill something with a counterattack. So if you're going to be able to one-shot things and you have a parry unit, it's ridiculous. It's really, really good. Minor Lords plus Tactics go super hard. However, I think this is like pretty much the only use case for the entire skill. Basically, you go Riposte Mastery and parry. Apart from that, I never really want to see the skill on my skill book ever. And I feel like that's too niche, you know? Like the Minor Lord activating sub-skill. Not good enough, man. Not good enough. It will go B tier. Below Battle Magic, below Battlecraft, but a little bit above Luck. So yeah. Sometimes it's pretty necessary to also like go aggro. You know, like position your units like more forward and just go in. But yeah, I would say niche. Not too great. And now, the reason why mages are broken in Olden era, Thaumaturgy. So, in a world, in a game, where we can click a single button to have 40% damage reduction from all sources, in a game where we can make the shooters not shoot and also deal less melee damage across the board, you know, like, Olden Era has, like, some ridiculous spellcasting available. Many good summons, many good buffs, many good debuffs, utility, damage, everything. And you're telling me I can do that twice per turn? Okay. I see. I see. Well, S tier. It's honestly, like, here. Thaumaturgy is an insane skill, and a reason alone in itself in order for you to play mages. It is insanely strong. You can like use a big spell, then like slam down the avatar for free. You can do like so many things. It's amazing. Mages in Olden Era feel really, really good, and Thaumaturgy is one of the main reasons for that to be the case. It is amazing. Now we have Triumvirate Strength. So Triumvirate Strength is going to be giving you stances where you can click Monitor, Dark Elf, or Dragon stances, giving you attack, defense, or power skill on demand. The amount of skill that you get is like okay, but not really like, you know, like game breaking. It's pretty good with the avatar because you can, you know, like slam down the Dragon stance and have an avatar available. Really good. Then also, yeah, just having the mind stats available is pretty good. I would say that this is like a good early game skill, but it doesn't really like scale that well. It's also pretty notable that it gives you like one initiative on expert. Initiative is really, really good, especially as like a baseline stat like that. I would say it's yeah, it's a pretty good skill. Wait, yeah, I'm putting it here. And then we're zooming out again. Oh well. And now the last skill is Wisdom. Wisdom lets you learn spells of any tier from any faction. So by the way, normally you need to like have like the Nightshade in order to learn like Nightshade spells levels 3 to 5. Normally you cannot do that. Wisdom allows you to bypass that for every single school of magic. For that it's like decent. It also has the very important skill, See-Through Strike. So that will basically be removing any temporary units with the Heroic Strike whenever you use it. Pretty important when you're trying to maybe like deal with Schism. You're probably not really gonna deal with Schism anyway, but you know, if you're gonna try, then Wisdom is gonna be letting you, you know, help you do that. It also has the sub-skill, I believe, for 30% extra mana, which is gonna be useful for like some of the warriors too. It's an okay skill, I would say. I would put it, right above tactics, barely above tactics. So yeah, that's the skill tree. And I think we have like a very good amount of well-rounded skills here. Most of the skills feel pretty good. The sub-skills usually do something and do something relevant. They're like really nice to open, you know, whenever you get to like choose an ability, it feels impactful and good. So I would say that the current roster of skills is amazing. I would say that maybe like the Avatar and the Chameleon right now are pretty problematic. Maybe there's like some changes, and maybe like offense and defense deserve to be tuned down a little. I mean, it's ridiculous how different the game just feels whenever you're playing with these skills and without these skills. So yeah, that is the current roster of skills for One Hero gameplay. Oh yeah, by the way, I didn't mention, but this is for One Hero gameplay, but I believe that most people already like recognize that, so yeah. I'm a One Hero ladder queue enjoyer. So that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you on the next one. Bye bye!